All right, so we have John Hatfield. We got Tony, mortgage specialist, very, very smart in terms of like VA financing and VA buyers. So we're going to talk about all things VA today. 2 podcasts yet to be named still.
We're going to call it Matt's New Shoes.
Matt's New Shoes podcast?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Dude, boots on the ground.
You know what? It's good. Let's roll with that. Let's
Boots on the ground.
Let's keep brainstorming.
Yes. Boots on the ground.
Boots on the ground. Let's keep brainstorming a little bit. So Tony, let's start with you a little bit. As John and Tony, you both are very involved with the Veterans United and the VA. So maybe start with you, Tony. What's your background in the VA or the military?
So I was in the Air National Guard for 12 years, 2007 to 2019. Did a tour over in Baghdad.
Thanks for your service.
Yep, thank you. It was a lot of fun. Met a lot of great people, learned a lot. But was in the military space for 12 years. Got out when my second contract ended, and then when I got in the mortgage world, I remembered what my first home buying experience was as a veteran, and it sucked. 2 different lenders had denied me. I went to a third lender that saved months, so nothing had changed, right?
Yeah.
Nothing in my picture had changed at all. Mm-hmm. And that other lender approved me, and I bought a house. So, I had 2 other lenders that just didn't know how to work that VA loan. It caused a lot of stress. So when I got into this space, I knew that I needed to focus on this so other people didn't experience what I experienced.
Yeah, that makes sense. So John, maybe from a lender, or not a lender, but a real estate standpoint, what's a negative side of perceived negative side of a VA loan, or a VA buyer, or what is your first opinion of someone's like, yeah, a VA?
I think that the VA loan gets a bad rap in a lot of ways, just because the VA wants to protect the buyer, they want to protect the veteran, and so they want to take care of it. So with the VA appraisal, that's one of the biggest things that I'm concerned about as a buyer's agent, is I want to make sure that whatever home we're landing on is going to be able to pass through the VA appraisal process. As far as the outside of that, I know the loan's going to be good because it's an excellent product, but I want to make sure that whatever house we're looking at gets to the close, right? And is going to be a good house for the buyer.
That makes sense. So Tony, you came in and talked to our team meeting today. Mm-hmm. And I got to say, I do agree with you, John. There's always been this stigma a little bit about using a VA loan, or if I get an offer as a listing agent and it's VA, I'm always like, oh, right? But what you made very apparent, and the statistics tell it, is that it's more so about picking a lender that does a lot of VA financing. And some of these, you're closing fast or faster than conventional and any other loan product. So I think that's a really good thing, and kudos to you and your business there. And with John, when I'm helping a VA buyer, right? I did have that same mindset, I got to look out for handrails or chipping and peeling paint. And I've always found that VA buyers tend to be more handy, and they get frustrated that they can't do the work themselves.
Yeah.
But you kind of combated that a little bit today.
Absolutely.
That there is ways of doing that. So
Absolutely.
Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So the VA loan, just like any other loan, has minimum property requirements. It's called minimum property requirements instead of health and safety standards that you see with conventional. But what's great about VA loans is that you can actually have the veteran, and by you I mean the lender, can have the veteran write a letter to the VA and say, hey, I understand what the risk is here. I'm willing to fix that myself. I'm capable. Will you waive this? And there's actually a pretty good chance that the VA is going to waive that requirement.
Yeah, you said 70%,
60%, I think, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Of a success rate with that. It's great.
I wish I would have known that.
I thought it was 78% on the slide.
That's
78 is Tidewater and reconsideration of value success rate in raising the value.
Okay.
Yep. So John, back to you. So what's your connection to the VA?
I'm a Army veteran. I was an interrogator in the Army. Now currently I spend a lot of my time, personal time, outside of real estate, giving back to service-related disabled American veterans. And so I'm actually part of the Disabled American Veteran. It's a nonprofit that's just solely dedicated on raising awareness for and advocating for veterans that are disabled, and especially in today's age of technology, you got Vietnam veterans and you got a lot of veterans that are older, because typically when you're younger, you don't realize some of the damage that's been done while you're out there, on your back, knees, whatever it is that's going on. And as we get older, and that's why I'm identifying that era of veterans, they're not as tech savvy as Tony or you or me. So we have a whole process of, and a whole line of just people that's their sole job, is to help them file the claims, get the claims rolling. We also do a lot of transportation. We have a transportation program as well to transport veterans that they don't drive or they don't have a way to get there. And then just on a local level, we donate to the veteran homes, stuff like that. And we have different fundraising that we do to raise money to give back.
I mean, a lot of things, right? So I know I've heard prior to any, knowing you guys, that we would call them and they would come pick up our stuff, like our stuff we would normally bring to like a Goodwill or something, and then it gets utilized in a better way.
Yeah,
that's how I. And so, and you said, now you actually, you might be a little bit modest here, but you run like a section or something, right, of the veteran DAV.
I think run is a stretch. I think maybe they run me a little bit, but I am a chapter service officer. I am the commander of the Anoka County chapter, and it's a great opportunity for me just to serve, and so to continue serving beyond my service, and really just help the community and give back. So
you help a lot. I think I love that about you. All right, tell me the truth. Can veterans, if you see people walking down the road or on the street, they say usually a veteran can pick out another veteran?
I'd say mostly yes. Mostly there's a way we walk and carry ourselves for the most part.
Okay.
I would say. I mean,
so it's more about the walk or something, or they give off a confidence or an aura or something, or what's the... Anything you could pinpoint? I'm just curious.
All right, so there's a few things. There's a few things. So like, if they're ladies walking if they're walking closer to the street, right, and
they're gonna be on the street side.
Yeah, and their woman is gonna be interior, right, and so that's something that you get taught out of the gate, being in the military with rank. So, or if even you and I, as we were walking, you and I, because me and Matt, he took me on a run or a jog, and I actually explained this to him, I think, when we were doing it, as I rotated on the interior, because even though Matt is a handsome young fella, he is my senior, and so it's just kind of like a natural knee-jerk out of respect, because you're taught the lower ranking officer takes that side of the street. So little things like that. Even the way we talk internally is just a little more carte blanche.
Yep.
Yeah. So how did you two connect? Because you guys didn't know each other before veteran DAV stuff. So how did you two connect?
It was social media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know who messaged who first, but I think just the nature of both being veterans, both caring a lot about the veteran community. I share some static stuff on there about veterans. I would say Tony takes the cake when it comes to it. He's really out there talking about veterans, and that's really
I love that about Tony. If you don't follow Tony, by the way, you should just check him out on his Facebook. He gives a lot of really good, free items of value, just some good information. I personally go there and literally read it to get ideas, and so thank you. Keep doing it. That's
Absolutely.
a big deal, right?
It's important because there's so many misconceptions about the VA loan, and it comes down to us as lenders. We need to educate better. We need to eliminate those misconceptions and talk about what the product really is and what the capability is. It's not a lot of people know about the multiple chances to fight an appraisal. Not a lot of people know about the flexible underwriting standards. They just know what they've been told, and chances are what they've been told hasn't been good.
Sure. Hey, you said at the very beginning of the meeting, you said this is the only loan program that, what was it?
Is earned.
That's earned.
It is. Anyone can get a conventional loan. Anyone can get an FHA loan. Anyone can get a USDA loan. What people have to realize is the VA loan is an earned benefit. The veteran and their family, and it's important to include the family too, has sacrificed to earn that benefit.
Yeah, that's 100% true. Now, so tell me, go a little bit deeper on, I'm a vet, I want to buy a house, tell me the process.
Well, you start off by calling me. No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, really, you need to work on getting pre-approved. You connect with your agent. You need to get pre-approved through a lender. You want to make sure that lender is well versed in VA loans. Data shows that 90% of loan officers out there have closed less than 3 VA loans a year. That's
not enough.
No, it's not. You need to find the 10% that closes more. But you need to talk with that lender, and that lender should be collecting, your income documentation, your asset documentation. They should be looking at your credit. Most importantly, they need to be looking at your certificate of eligibility, because without a certificate of eligibility, you don't have anything. It's really easy to get. All I need is your social security number and the year you were born, plug it in the VA system, and it's probably going to pop up. And if it doesn't pop up, then I just need a couple of little bit of extra things of paperwork.
Yep.
But it's really fast.
Okay.
But that's the general process.
So then what is the main benefits of using a VA loan?
Main benefits, no down payment required. If you don't want to, you can still put money down. You can absolutely put money down if you want to. You're just not required to. Better interest rates than conventional financing. No mortgage insurance. That's a big one. To get a conventional loan with no mortgage insurance, you got to put at least 20% down.
Yep.
Not everyone has that. FHA loans, you're going to have mortgage insurance regardless of down payment. 0.55%. That's going to be a couple $100 a month on a $300,000 plus dollar amount loan. There's no mortgage insurance there. And the great thing too about VA loans is that they're very flexible in their underwriting. So conventional, you can't have a debt to income ratio higher than 50%. If you do, and that's 50% of your gross monthly income, and if you do, you're not getting a conventional loan. FHA is capped at 56.99% of your gross monthly income. The VA does not have a maximum debt to income ratio requirement. It's all based off of residual income, which is the amount of money that you basically have left over after you've paid all your bills and the maintenance of your house that you're buying.
Interesting. Well, when you saw it today, I have it on the board here. So right now, conventional, I mean, this is going to fluctuate based on credit score and a few other things, but we're at about just under 6%, right? Conventional financing. VA, we're at 5.675. And the same with FHA. So, I mean, it's better, right? And you got no mortgage insurance. I mean, okay, that's pretty good.
It's a great product, and there's so much flexibility. Especially when I talk about the residual income. I can get someone with a debt to income ratio in the 70% approved, and you're like, Tony, you're making someone house poor. That's horrible. Hold on with me here. I'm going to go into a scenario where this is great. So let's say that you have a veteran who they're engaged, they're not married. We can't use the fiance's income, but they're making a ton of money. Well, we can approve him for a higher amount using his income going higher and pushing his limits, but we know the money's coming in, so they're comfortable. Or you've got a veteran whose spouse is self-employed, they write everything off because we can't use their income.
Yep.
Now they're not as affected because we have that flexibility with a VA loan.
That makes a ton of sense. Because, at face value, you hear 56%, like they're never going to be able to pay their bills. Well,
Right.
When you look at those two scenarios, it makes sense.
Correct.
I've also talked to a couple veterans personally. One I really highly respect, and he just said, listen, if I don't ever pay this, you just call my commanding officer and they'll have a check to you in like 2 weeks or 2 days or whatever it was. But they were so like, no, this is going to be paid, right?
Yeah.
So John, from a shopping standpoint, realtor, boots on the ground, helping a veteran buyer, tell me like how you function at the process, either the same or different than any other buyer.
I let them know like, hey, we got a few things to overcome, but that's where I need your trust, right? And so for me, it's just whenever I'm communicating with the other agent, it's kind of breaking that stigma, right? And so it's just like communicating with them, opening the door, saying, hey, great news. I got a veteran. He served the country. We're coming in with a VA loan. This is awesome. and just kind of letting them know, hey, we're not here for any nonsense. We want to buy a house. My client wants to buy the house, and just letting them know we're willing to do whatever it takes to get this thing to close, right?
Absolutely.
And then Tony, with every purchase agreement, he shows up with a free paint scraper. So
I'll do it if I have to.
And
I've done it. I've done it.
Myself, even some of my mentors have told me I need to maybe do a little less and focus on more of the real estate side of things. But it doesn't matter. I've had clients. I've helped them move. I've helped them, with whatever needs done. And it's just because that's just who I am, right? And so
I would agree with that. That's just how you're built and who you are.
Yeah.
Right. Just want to help.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so anything like really weird or different from an appraisal standpoint. So and the reason I'm saying that is, as a listing agent, right, putting homes on the market, I get a VA loan. My main concern looking at this VA loan is two things. One, are they going to be able to close? Right. In which case, I usually look at the lender and say, okay, do I know this person? Do I trust this person? Have they done their due diligence? Right. The second thing is that I get more paranoid or freaked out during the appraisal period. Okay. If it's conventional, I usually don't even give it a second thought. FHA or VA, I do. And what are some of the ways or things that you would say about that, whether that's a valid point or an invalid point?
Well, it could be, it's a little bit of both, because feelings are valid for the most part. These things are based off of prior experience and what they've been told.
Yeah.
And it comes down on us educating on the ways to combat, because, I think you're probably getting at like minimum property requirements and you're worried about things coming in, with repairs or coming in low. But that comes down to the lender. The lender partner on that loan should be calling you and putting you at ease. Like, so for me, when I have a buyer who is writing, I look at that property and I look at the pictures and I make sure, like, all right, we can be good on all this. I try and look at the windows, or is there any peeling paint? And I'll call the listing agent when that officer is presented, and I'm like, hey, I'm in the business of closing loans, and it takes what it takes. So if my name's on that pre-approval, we're closing that loan. So if there's an issue, I'm going to take care of it.
Yep, makes sense.
And then there's also we talked about earlier, but the minimum property requirement waiver process. So knowing that option is out there,
to write a letter, basically.
To write a letter is huge.
Makes sense.
Not everyone knows that. It's a very little known fact.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And when I help a VA veteran buyer, I always feel like a little bit more sense of like duty, if you will, to them. Like I really want to help them at a higher level. And I like to say I treat everybody the same and do everything the same, but the reality is I might have a little bit more emotion involved, and I don't know why that is, but I think just, they sacrifice, like you said, they earn this benefit, and I don't like the idea of a stigma attached to it being a negative connotation when it should be a positive one.
Right.
Absolutely. I think it's also important too, as in real estate, in any business, I think it's so relationship based. And in order to build a good relationship, setting correct expectations out of the gate. So whenever you're sitting down with a veteran buyer, explaining to them like, hey, this is great. This is a great product. And then also setting like, hey, these are going to be some of the challenges that we're going to go into, and having a game plan to move forward towards obtaining the goal, right, and reaching our objective. And then on the reverse side, now they're good to go, right? They're ready for battle. And now we're boots on the ground, and when we're out there, it's the same thing. It's communicating and educating with the other agent. And so I think the biggest mistake that any agent could make is to assume that the other agent has experience in that realm. And so just taking a little bit of time when you're on that phone call with them, with that, and saying, hey, I got a veteran buyer, and kind of gauge their responses and just communicate with them. It's not a, real estate's not a battle. And I think that was kind of like that was something that I'm glad and very thankful for that I was taught early on in real estate.
Yep.
Is it's not about going against the other agent. It's not necessarily fighting, right? It's more kind of hand in hand working together.
Yep.
Which actually that was a phrase when I was stationed in Korea. Kapshi kapshi da, we go together. So did some civil affairs over there when I was in, but I think even just taking the time to see where they're at, right? And And there's always a delicate way to educate somebody without actually educating them or coaching them, because nobody likes being told what to do.
No, they don't like being told what to do, but they like to know what to do.
Absolutely.
Yep. So I guess wrapping it up here a little bit, if you had one or two or a few pieces of advice, I'm a veteran, I want to buy a house. Tell me the things what I should do right now and what I shouldn't do. Like, it's okay. Like, we should call the lender first, talk to John first, go do this first, go get this paperwork first, what it would look like.
I think for me, it could go either way, whether it's calling the agent or the lender first. But the great thing about when you talk to an agent first is that they have reputable people to work with to make sure, because they've used them. They know that process is going to go well. I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of loan officers out there. And when you recommend someone, it's because you know that they're going to provide a good experience. And that's important. So whether you want to talk to the agent first or the lender first, either one's fine. But, the biggest thing is you want to make sure that you're working with someone who knows the product, knows the process of the product. Because if they do, it's going to be a very good experience. If they don't, it's going to be a bumpy ride.
Makes sense. Yeah. John, anything you'd add to that?
I think I'm a little biased because I'm an agent, but I like sitting down with a buyer first and foremost and going through the process, educating them. And I don't care if it's with Tony or if it's with me, to be honest, as long as they're taking the time to understand the process and how it works, understand the obstacles, also the benefits, and importantly the benefits, and that it's fun, right? That it should be a fun process.
That's a really good point. This should be fun.
Yeah.
Shopping for a home is a fun thing. You should have a smile on your face. You should be excited to do it. I would say, and I'll add to that, is just don't try to guess and do it on your own. Seek out the professionals, somebody that knows veterans, somebody understands the process, because I will say this, the lender and the agent will make or break the whole thing. 100%. You could have an absolutely crappy, horrible, this miserable experience, and you work with two different people and you have the awesome, greatest experience, and the only thing that changes is who you hired, right? It could be the same house.
And I would add to that, there are a lot of great agents out there, but if you're a veteran, having an agent that is a veteran and having a loan officer that is a veteran, as a veteran, the camaraderie that we have. Like, nobody is going to fight harder for you. Mm-hmm. Justin, we got him $20,000 off and a new roof this year. Mm-hmm. That was pretty sweet, and
that's awesome.
That's a huge win, and it feels good to do.
And hiring different people probably would not have happened that way.
Nope.
Who's to say?
I can say that.
I appreciate that.
I can say that. All right, Tony. So if you are helping a buyer, they need a real estate agent, whatever it is, right? What are some things that real estate agent should know to have it be a good symbiotic relationship with you and the buyer?
So, it's important for the agent to know, number one, just specifically with me, that they can call me at any time and ask any question that they want. That's very important for them to know, because there's a lot of nuance with VA loans, so it's good to clarify. But, when it comes to just any agent working with a veteran buyer, whether it's with me or with any other loan officer out there, the questions that they need to be asking the lender specifically is, have you obtained a certificate of eligibility? Because that is the most important document in a VA loan. You could make all the money in the world, have all the assets in the world, and have an 850 credit score. If you don't have a certificate of eligibility, that loan is not closing. So that's very important.
So get that to you up front. Or allow you to get it up front.
So allow me to get it up front. So like if you're sending a client to me, after I have that initial phone consult with them, once they fill out my application, the first thing that I am pulling is a certificate of eligibility, and I have it on hand.
Got it.
And then I save it, because that document is very important to get that loan closed. So, if you're on the buyer side, it's important to know that the lender has obtained that. If you're on the listing side, you're representing your seller, it's important for the listing agent to connect with the loan officer to make sure that they have obtained that certificate of eligibility, because without that document, you have nothing.
So an agent should ask a buyer, do you have this, or did your lender get this?
Correct. Yes, absolutely.
That makes sense. But what's another good like hot topic or good thing an agent should know?
I think that another really good one to know is the multiple chances at fighting a low appraisal, like the Tidewater and the reconsideration of value process, because it's really powerful. I mean, it's got a 78% success rate to increase the value. Earlier this year, I think it was in March this year, we got a Tidewater notification. The appraiser let us know Tidewater, let me circle back a little bit here. Tidewater is basically the appraiser is giving us a chance to correct their homework before they turn it into the teacher. It's great.
So basically, the value is not matching what we think the home is worth based on the contract.
Yep.
We're giving you 48 hours to deliver us any additional comps or anything that you looked at that I maybe missed.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Perfect. You don't get that with conventional,
Nope.
and you don't get that with FHA.
Absolutely not. Nope. The only chance with conventional FHA you have to fight it is when it comes in, and good luck when it comes in and getting it overturned.
Yeah, not going to happen.
So, that's Tidewater. If the appraiser disagrees with you, then you can go into reconsideration of value, and that's going directly to the VA. So that's going over the appraiser's head. And that's supplying more comps, and you can actually I call it the I love me letter, where the veteran can actually submit kind of like their, emotional reason on why they feel like it meets the value. And again, 78% success rate in increasing that purchase price.
Okay.
I had one this year. It was in March. Got a Tidewater notification. We supplied comps to the appraiser, and then it came in over value.
Yep.
Once we supplied
I
those
can
comps.
vouch for that. Same thing. So, they're human. They're going to miss things,
Yep.
and they maybe see something different that we don't see, or vice versa, right? So it is nice to have that opportunity. Yep, for sure. Anything
Absolutely.
else? Maybe one more top thing. As a real estate agent, working with a VA buyer, we should be aware of on our end.
Who you work with matters. That's the other, there's that statistic out there. 90% of loan officers have closed less than 3 VA loans a year.
Yep.
So, find that 10%.
I will say this, and I have no financial reason for this. This is just true story. Is the number of times that I've got a buyer that comes to me and said, Matt, I'm already pre-approved. I'm good to go, 100%. Great, fantastic. I think you should talk to one of the people I recommend because I have some concerns.
Mm-hmm.
If everything checks out, great, wonderful. But what if we find something, or what if they give you a better deal, or they sharpen their pencil? I will push a buyer a little bit on that aspect of things just because I want to know and have more comfort with the person I'm working with on the other end. Mm-hmm. For no other reason than I know that it's going to be a better experience for them.
And that by sending them to your person, that loan's going to close.
Yes.
And that's the end goal is to make someone a homeowner.
Yep.
Right. If it's someone you don't know that.
And you don't know what you don't know. And
Right.
How many times a lot of buyers think it's supposed to be problematic, it's supposed to be hard, it's supposed to be emotional, it's supposed to be all these things, and it should be fun. Mm-hmm. It's going to be stressful no matter what. I get that. But so many people have a worse experience than they need to have because they didn't get pushed to they're using the right people.
Right.
And so what you said about who you use matters, I'm going to 100% agree with that.
Totally. I mean, I love what you said about setting expectations because it's 100% correct. The stress of a transaction comes from fear and anxiety of the unknown and not knowing what's going on. Okay. If you properly set expectations up front and explain this is what the process is going to be like, you're going to have a good experience.
Hua.
Oh, man.
So you asked about a cadence. We can't share comfortably what a cadence is.
Can we do it all at the same time, or is that I can't do that?
Hey, here's the thing. So hua is it is a noun, it is a verb, it is a pronoun,
it is whatever you want it to be.
Everything.
It's
so
kind of like forget about it.
Forget about it. It could mean yes. It could mean no. It could mean
forget about it.
Forget you.
Yeah.
It could mean a lot of different things. In the Air Force, what was it? Is it the same in the Air Force?
Yeah.
Hua?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so the Marines.
Heard, understood, acknowledged.
Yeah, absolutely.
Heard, understood, and acknowledged.
Yep.
Hua.
And the Marines are hoorah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Or I think they like to say it hoorah. But so there's the fun military for any agent, anybody that's watching that doesn't know anything. If you ever hear a veteran say hua or hoorah, it could mean a variety of things, and just ask them.
Just ask them or smile.
Yeah.
Just smile.
Yeah.
I got to say, I use Roger that about 100 times a day on like everything. I don't know if that's still a thing, but
No, that's fair. I do that too.
Yeah.
And I say copy a lot.
copy. I don't
Yeah.
see it.
Like, I really shouldn't say that to clients, but I do. I mean, I work with a lot of veterans, though.
Yeah, as soon as they understand
So they get it.
the nuances of saying
Yep.
things like that.
Right. I got to pick my audience when I say copy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Roger that. All right. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. Thank
you.
So I got new shoes. Just picked them up.
Nice.
It was time to retire my other shoes. I did a TikTok video on it. It's when I've done it in the past, it's like the #1 post of the year. Every single year is when I put on that I got new shoes.
Nice.
How ridiculous is it? We'll see if it holds true.
Is
this
this what
time.
the people want?
We'll give them what they want.